Thailand, it's all about the food. It's the national pastime. Thai street food is the most accessible of all types of cooking in the kingdom. It's different from the food that's eaten at home. It's a hybridized cuisine, a blend of all the people who have come to Thailand. But for the Thais, it's not just about the eating. Cooking and food is fundamental to their culture. It gives flavour and texture to their customs and traditions. The love of food is shared by all Thais, and some of the best eating can be found in the markets and on the streets. And here's where we begin this episode.
The Thais are an aquatic people. Over the centuries, many early visitors noted this riverine way of life.
This river has connected all the communities from time immemorial in Siam. On one side you have the Muslims, you have Chinese, you have the European community down there. Up there you have a Cham community and a Vietnamese community. All people used to live on the river, and the way they used to travel was on the water. This river stretches up to the hinterland of Thailand and connects the farmers to the city. It also connects the various communities who live on either side of the bank.
The Manam Chao Phraya is the most important river in Thailand. It starts in the north of the country and meanders through the central plains before flowing through the heart of Bangkok on its way to the sea. Dotted along its banks and canals are various villages and communities, an aggregation of people, history, cuisines and cultures.
Bangkok used to be like this. It was only in the 1960s that the canals were filled in. But if you move further out of Bangkok, such as where we are in Chachoen Sao, you'll see these communities existing virtually unchanged to 50 years ago, probably even 100 years ago.
Some of the canals were dug by coolies, many of whom emigrated from southern China to find a better life in old Siam. The more enterprising soon established themselves as merchants and traders and helped to develop the areas where their descendants now live.
And this one is a Krong Kluk because it's straight, it's dead straight, and this heads dead straight to Bangkok because these communities would be growing rice and other types of small goods, you know, could be some palm sugar, could be some fruit or vegetables, and they would transport it by the safest, surest, easiest means possible, these canals.
The canals and rivers were the natural means to transport goods up and down the country. And often they were the only way to do so, as Thailand's rainy season led to floods that made roads and tracks impassable for months on end. While the Chao Phraya is still a thoroughfare and its banks a hub of trade, much of the country's industry now occurs on land. However, these erstwhile tracks are not forgotten byways. They still connect people and their communities to each other and the outside world. Bangkok is in fact two distinct cities. Modern Bangkok is on the east bank, and on the western side is Donburi, a much gentler place. Here, many of the canals lead to forgotten backwaters, ringed with orchards and teak houses.
I've been coming along these canals for the last 25 years, and the thing that strikes me is that in the midst of this almost rustic, this distant, this far away Klong, these canals that are so serene, we're only 10 minutes away from the centre of town, from bustling, manic Bangkok.
It's like stepping back into the past. The rhythm of an earlier, gentler time can still be felt. On Klong Bang Luang, down one of the main arteries off the river, is a wonderful old house, some 200 years old. Ton's family has lived here for 70 years.
แล้วก็ผู้คนก็เป็นกันเองเพราะว่ามันบ้านติดกันไงฮะก็เพิ่งพาอาศัยกัน
อดีตเมื่อ 50 ปีที่แล้วเนี่ยยังไม่มีเรือหางยาวก็ส่วนมากคนก็จะใช้เรือพายเรือแจวแล้วข้างหน้าบ้านเนี่ยช่วงเนี้ยจะเป็นตลาดน้ำจริงๆ
มันมีความเป็นเอกลักษณ์เฉพาะตัวบางอย่างนะฮะบางคนมาแบบมีความรู้สึกมันเงียบแต่จริงๆถ้าลึกๆมันจะมีอะไรมากกว่านั้นตรงแม่น้ำนี้ก็คือแม่น้ำเจ้าพระยาสายเก่าครับแล้วก็ความเป็นชุมชนมันก็บอกลำบากมันก็
Kun Chumphorn renovated this wonderful old house at the end of the pier and turned it into the centre of the community.
หมู่บ้านนี้นะส่วนมากเป็นคนไทยหรือคนจีน
คนจีนครับ
คนจีนแล้วก็เขาทำให้บ้านที่นี่ใช่ไหมครับ
ครับผม
ก็คุณชอบอยู่ที่นี่ไหมครับ
ชอบอยู่ที่นี่มาก เพราะว่ามันอยู่ใกล้ๆน้ำไปไหนก็ได้ นี่คือจุดเริ่มต้นของคำว่าบางกอกบางกอกคือย่านเรียกว่าบางกอกก็คือชีวิตของคนสวนการ์เด้น
And following is a delectable dish, perfect to be shared with any group of friends. I love crunchy rice with spicy pork. It's hot, succulent, salty and tart.
ข้าวทอดน้ำซอส is a really simple dish and it's a perfectly apt dish to serve on the street. So you grate the coconut, not too much. Now, once your coconut is grated,
add 1 cup of rice and a tablespoon of red curry paste.
Shouldn't use too much red curry paste, otherwise the spicy rice cakes will be just too strong, too coarse almost in flavour. A little bit of salt, little bit of fish sauce. And then add some of the grated coconut. Then you just work that through and let it sit for about half an hour or so. That way, if you've incorporated it solidly and let it rest, it won't fall apart when you deep fry. It doesn't take too long to do the rice cakes. You just need to heat up some oil in a wok or in a pan. It really doesn't matter. Then with moist hands, just form very loose, free-form little cakes. Just make sure that you work and press the rice cakes together to form the most compact cake that you can, because by doing so means that the rice cake shouldn't break up as it deep fries. Just keep on frying until the outside of the cake itself is quite dark and crunchy. The inside doesn't need to be completely cooked, or rather too fried, because you want that contrasting texture. It takes between 5 to 10 minutes to cook. Some people like it a little bit lighter in colour. I like mine a little bit crunchy.
And there you have it, crunchy rice cakes.
And now I'll just move on to my pork. Just slice the pork a little and then chop it before mincing. Now, some pork skin. This is the skin from the pork belly that has just been boiled for about 20 minutes until it's soft and cooked.
Slice the ginger and shallots, then chop the herbs.
Make sure that the wok is quite hot. Pinch of salt, pinch of sugar, and let that cook for a moment or two.
Once it's almost cooked, add the other ingredients. A tablespoon of lime juice, some fish sauce, and a hearty pinch of chili powder. Add the crushed peanuts, then mix through the crunchy rice cakes.
I don't want to break them up too much, but I want to make sure that they have some discernible texture. With the addition of those last two ingredients, I now need to re-season it. It's one of the most important points when cooking Thai food is the tasting and re-seasoning in order to get the taste, the balance of the seasonings right. Now I will add my fresh spices, my shallots, my mint, my coriander, my ginger, my long-leaf coriander, and of course a generous amount of dried chili. Pork skin. Let the pork skin heat through. You don't want to overcook it. You don't want to overcook the herbs. And there's a little bit of deep fried garlic. I think adds a delicious dimension. It's a nice colourful dish. Then to serve, we will just simply serve it with some beetle leaves. If you can't find beetle leaves, then use something like lettuce leaves. We will take this off. A little bit like that, a little bit like this, a little bit more chili, just for the hell of it. And what you do is just simply eat the dish like this. The right balance of seasoning and proportion of ingredients is imperative for the success of any dish. So it's easy, it's simple, it's a communal dish, it's spicy pork with crunchy rice cakes. It's not too bad, I hope. There are many ethnic groups in Bangkok and their influence is keenly felt, especially in the streets and markets. This area here was established about 1900. We're just off one of the main streets, Sam San Road, which leads to the north of Bangkok. And this Vietnamese community is still quite distinct. They maintain their traditional practices and they maintain some traditional food too.
This street market is famous and it is at its best every Sunday morning. There are Thai dishes mixed with Vietnamese specialities.
ก็ถ้าเทียบแล้วก็จะเหมือนก๋วยเตี๋ยวอะค่ะถ้าตามเป็นคนไทยก็จะทานเหมือนก๋วยเตี๋ยวไทยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยก็ก๋วยจั๊บยวนนี่ก็คือของเราจะมีเป็นปลาช่อนนะคะแต่ว่าถ้าเกิดเป็นทางที่อื่นเนี่ยจะมีเป็นหมูเป็นไก่แล้วแต่ที่กันไป
สูตรจากคุณยายค่ะปอเปี๊ยะยวนที่มีเป็นแป้งนะคะเป็นแป้งข้างในจะเป็นลึกเส้นหมูไข่แล้วก็เผือกค่ะ
ขายหมูยอค่ะขายหมูยอขายกุนเชียงขายแหนมของเป็นของเวียดนามแล้วก็มีข้าวต้มมัดเวียดนาม
The Cham are a Muslim community, mainly based in Cambodia. Some of them were settled here in the 19th century in this precinct called Ban Krua.
ก็อาหารประจำชุมชนก็คือสมัยก่อนเป็นแกงส้มที่ลือชื่อคือแกงส้มเขมรเพราะต้นตำรับบ้านครัวนี้มาจากเขมรอพยพมาช่วยรบ
คร่าวๆนะรัชกาลที่1ถึงรัชกาลที่3มาพระราชทานริมคลองเนี่ยแล้วอยู่ส่วนมากก็หนูก็รู้ว่าอยู่ส่วนมากจะระบบญาติอยู่กันสบาย
Bahurat is Bangkok's Little India.
It's a vibrant community as I see people walk past me, women in saris, men in turban, chapatis in front of me, bikes making noises next to me. It's crazy. It is just like India.
And of course, there's the fundamental contribution the Chinese have made. In spite of their different origins and cooking styles, all these groups see themselves as Thais first and foremost.
แล้วใครที่เข้ามาอยู่ในนี้เราจะอยู่กันได้ไม่ว่าคนพุทธคนจีนคนอิสลามก็อยู่รวมกันได้ไม่ใช่ไปแบ่งว่าคนนี้พุทธคนนั้นอิสลามคนนี้ฝรั่งคนนี้จีนไม่ได้เนี่ยที่เราอยู่ทุกวันนี้โดยที่ไม่มีปัญหาอะไรเลย
And next, a community that has had a huge impact on Thai street food. You'll see restaurants like this everywhere, They're out in the open on streets and canals. Geng mussaman and aromatic curries, biryanis, soups, satay and laksas, redolent with spices, Muslim in origin, but enjoyed by all.
I am in an oasis of calm in the middle of an otherwise bustling Bangkok. This mosque is about 160 years old and it's still practicing. We've just finished the daily call to prayer. But behind it are interred the descendants of Muslim immigrants who came here to trade. Bangkok traded with Indonesia, Malaysia, India and Iran, or Persia as it was once called. Wherever Muslims were in the world, they came here to trade because Bangkok was one of the centres of trade in Southeast Asia.
This is an architectural manifestation of the diversity of this area. Kun Ritti, a writer for the Bangkok Post, was born into this Indian Muslim community.
The origin of this community, this Muslim community, it goes back around maybe 130 years ago. A lot of North Indian, a lot of Pakistani people, they're merchants, and they sailed by boat, of course, along the river, because the river is just right here.
Right.
And they settled down along different neighborhoods in Bangkok, and this is one of the neighborhoods. So when you talk about Muslim communities in Bangkok, actually there are differences among each of them. So the food you found in each community reflects the ethnic origin of those communities.
I'm outside Kun Ba's shop. She's been selling food here for over 20 years. We'll be cooking nir pat prik, beef stir-fried with red curry paste perfumed with cumin.
It doesn't take too long to do because dishes such as this, served in kiosks such as this, are quite simple because they're ready to be made and to be eaten. Street food is by its very nature quite a simplistic cuisine. It's 2 or 3 steps, 3 or 4 steps, not too many more than that. Thai cow, yakin cow. I have my spoon at the ready because I'm looking forward to eating this because it's from the hands of these old women. You get a much better taste, a much better dish. You get a sense of what Thai food was in the past. Oh, kokumaka. An easy, very easy and very simple dish that's prepared in Ban Krua. There we are. The beef with chilies, quite a lot of chilies, a damn lot of chilies, load of chilies, made on the klongs in Ban Krua in the traditional way. And now I'll cook some khao mok gai. Chicken and rice, it's one of the classic dishes in the Muslim repertoire. Originally it came from India, it probably came up through southern Thailand and reached Bangkok in the 19th century. First of all, for the marinade for the chicken, some garlic powdered with some turmeric, coriander root and a little bit of ginger. I'll just do that now. Clean coriander roots with some salt, some turmeric and then some ginger. It doesn't have to be a fine paste, it just has to be pureed quite well. Add some garlic, curry powder and keep on pounding until a reasonable paste is achieved. Now what we need to do now is to marinate our chicken.
And add half the paste and leave to marinate for about 20 minutes.
I prefer to use some chicken legs. Little bit of fish sauce, pinch of sugar. Yeah, but, you know what? I'm going to add a little bit of this yogurt as well. This is just some fresh yogurt.
Be sure to use a pan with a heavy base.
If the base of the pan is too thin, then it's going to burn. It's probably going to burn anyway because cooking over charcoal is a bit of a risky business. Anyway, I have some ghee. Ghee is made by clarifying butter twice. I'm going to add some sliced red shallots with a pinch of salt. Fry these off until they start to colour. Now I'll add the remaining bit of the marinade.
Then add the dried spices, cassia bark, cardamom leaves, and pods.
Some chopped cherry tomatoes. I'll add some chopped herbs, some chopped mint, and some chopped coriander. Now, you let this fry for just that little bit longer, then you add your chicken. And just leave that for 5 or 10 minutes or so until the chicken colours. I'm adding a little bit more curry powder. Almost add too much curry powder because you see, in a moment I'll be adding the rice, which will be absorbing quite a lot of that. A little bit more of the turmeric powder, pinch of white sugar. Okay, the next thing we do is add some rice. This is just plain jasmine rice. The best rice, though, that you can use is an old rice, a rice from an older vintage. When I say old rice, it's just from last year's vintage. A little bit of fish sauce. Don't worry if it catches. It needs to, in fact. That means it's going to develop much better flavour because in a moment I'll be adding some stock. When I add the stock, it should lift off whatever's caught on the bottom. And then a little trick, some more of this yogurt. Stir that through, put the lid on, and then in about 20 minutes, it should almost be there. I'm going to add a pandanus leaf or two. Not absolutely essential, but it improves the dish quite a lot.
Place the lid back on the pan until the stock has been absorbed. Chop the coriander and cucumber, but not too fine.
The colour is good. It's even caught a little bit on the bottom, but that's not too bad.
Then finish with some deep-fried shallots.
I'm in Bangkok. I'm in the Muslim part of Bangkok, and now I really know it.
At its heart, Bangkok is a city of villages that are drawn together by their love of food and eating. After all, they're all Thai.
The street, its food, and the communities and the canals are tied with the Thais, and they all work together. They're all part of each other. And whilst it may not necessarily make you cook better, it can add more meaning if you understand what this community and Thailand is about.
Noodles, they are the epitome of Thai street food, and in the next episode I'll show them in all their guises and glory.